Hello and welcome to New Play Day here on Shakesyear. We're digging into a new one. We're going to start in with Edmund Ironside, which is a history play. Huzzah! So we can already guess some of the stuff that's going to be in there, and maybe it's going to be about King Edmund because it's Edmund Ironside. Whoops, spoilers. Sorry to give all of that away. But before we get started, some sort of history and context about this one. So this one, the scholars are talking about it, and they're pretty sure that this is a Shakespearean play, but it hasn't been 100% confirmed. If this was actually written by Shakespeare, it was written way early in his career, like maybe around 1587 is approximately when they're dating it. But it didn't have a name on it when it was first published, so it may or may not be his. And they don't really have a record of when it was necessarily first performed, because the content of one of the scenes in this play would have made it illegal to perform until sometime after Queen Elizabeth died. But we'll get to that when we get to that scene. But I mean, this is starting to sound a little intriguing, right? But some of the clues that the scholars are looking at in terms of whether or not this was written by Shakespeare have to do with the language that was used in it. And this uses like 300 words that Shakespeare has been credited with inventing. And it also uses a lot of words that were very rarely used, but Shakespeare tended to use them a lot. So that's why they think that this might have actually been him that wrote it. And also, like 97% of this play is in verse and 3% in prose, as opposed to like The Birth of Merlin. And we know that Shakespeare liked to write in verse, and especially the history plays. And some of the things that I was reading about it also talked about certain similarities between this play and Titus Andronicus, which was, again, one of his earlier plays. So they're thinking like this might have been kind of a rough draft, but then he turned it into a Titus Andronicus thing to sort of protect the innocent and maybe make it legal to be performed because of some of the political stuff that was involved in it. So all of this intrigue about this sort of lost history play to begin with, but this is called Edmund Ironside, and we're going to kick it off hearing from Canutus in Act 1, Scene 1. Canutus was a Danish king and potential heir to the British throne. This character based on Canute the Great, who you can look up, who was actually a Danish king who brought 3 kingdoms together into like the kingdom of the Great North Sea or something. It was something along those lines. But anyway, he's a Danish guy. And we're going to kick off Act 1, Scene 1 with a lot of Danish guys or various Anglo-Saxons coming together, including Canutus and the Archbishop of Canterbury and a whole bunch of other people who are sympathetic to Canutus and have sworn allegiance to him. And he kicks off the play with the first monologue that we're going to get to. He kicks it off saying, "Archbishop, and you other English peers, I hear how Ethelredus, late your king, my tributary, is departed life, and how his son, Prince Edmund, wears the crown without the notice of your free consent, or homage unto me, his sovereign. Yourselves, lords spiritual and temporal, besides the due my father's conquest claims, have chosen me, and by a universal sound decree have solemnly throughout this little world proclaimed me heir apparent to the crown when Ethelredus lived. Then let not this young upstart prince of prates curb your proceedings with untutored words, but finish boldly what you have begun. Resist his private coronation, and put not up this vile dishonor done unto you, chief commanders of the realm, as though you were not worth the sending for." So boom, we're starting off this play with fire. So King Ethelredus, whose name I might be pronouncing incorrectly, there was a King Ethelred. This just has a US stuck on the end of it, and King Ethelred was the father of Edmund, so I guess we're just adding us's to everybody's name in this play. Anyway, King Ethelredus has died, and the Britons have declared that his son Edmund should be the next king. Canutus doesn't like this because he feels like he has claims on his father's side that make him the rightful heir to the throne. And everybody in the room has sworn allegiance to Canutus, so he's saying, all right, I'm tasking you with not taking this lightly. He's undeserving, he's unworthy, and the fact that they all appointed him king without talking to any of you or paying homage to me is not okay. So we need to go and take care of this. We're not going to take this sitting down. We're not going to agree with his coronation. We're not going to go to his coronation. Like, this is offensive to you and offensive to me that this thing happened. So we're not going to let them treat you like you weren't worth consulting before all of this happened, is what he's saying here. So he kicks the whole thing off with, we've got a fight about a claimant to the throne, Britons versus Saxons, who's the right person, and everybody's offended, at least everybody in this room is offended that Edmund has been named king as opposed to Canutus. So the Archbishop of Canterbury is going to respond, and he's going to respond in the form of a monologue, which we will hear tomorrow. So this play is going to take a lot longer to get through than The Birth of Merlin, because there's a lot more monologues in it. And, Act 1, Scene 1, we've got the exposition that needs to happen. But at least Canutus is trying to make it exciting by being all angry to kick off the play. So come on back tomorrow for more and see what the response is. I'll see you then. Mwah.